of liberation, we will rise when we listen to the heart and the ways of the wise, on the flames of transformation, we will rise from out of the shadows and into the light, into the light, into the light.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unify Women Rising. We are back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can? Oh, good. Wonderful. We are here for season 4. Good morning. Good morning out there in Unified land and all over the planet where we are reaching. I am Debbie G, and I am tuning in from Alamosa, Colorado today. On to Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda Clendening, and I am in Crestone, Colorado. Happy to be here.
And hello, I am Amber Hartnell, and I'm coming in from beautiful Encinitas, California.
Good morning, everyone. Rachel Morrison here, tuning in from Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Tammy Scarlett, and I am tuning in today from Chicago, Illinois.
Yay, welcome everyone. We took a little break. All of us had a very busy September with Peace Week, Peace Month, thousands of organizations coming in together and doing all the peace stuff for the International Day of Peace in September. And then we took a little bit of a break. Debbie said she'll be right back, I think. But yeah, we're glad to be back with you now. And we'll be broadcasting for the next 3 weeks and then take another little break in December and then be back for a few months in January. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here with us today. I love all of you. Missed you.
Yeah, I feel like there's been, when was the last time we were all together? It's been at least 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the beginning of September because when things started getting really crazy with Peace Day planning, we put this on pause. So yeah, I think the first week in September.
Got it. So I'm curious for everyone in this space and actually everyone out there as well, if you guys want to leave some comments, like what has been part of your journey into peace or your observation of peace over the last little bit that we've been apart from each other, just to kind of recircle, catch up with each other. How's it going? I think we've reached peace. Yeah, no, for real. How's it been going though? Like Amber, how's your inner peace going? How's your observation of peace going? Like where are things at in the world with you and this topic?
That's great. I thought you were asking our collective here and waiting for the chat responses. So
no.
Happy to answer.
But yeah, there are some great responses in there too. We'll get to those.
Yeah, one thing that I've been really interacting with and tracking in myself is, as things continue to move into further and further disorder on one end of the spectrum, to really utilize that as an opportunity to come into deeper and deeper coherence in my being. So, as things have accelerated, I've found actually more and more ease with entering the singularity, entering that space of peace, which, leads us into our topic matter today, which is accessing the quantum realm where we can truly influence when we come into that coherence. So I have experienced a deeper harmony in my family, in my work. Everything actually is coming into a higher order, and I'm recognizing that. And I think it's fascinating to observe that we have choice. No matter what the conditions are around us, we have choice with the state that we're choosing to reside in and how we're interacting with those conditions.
Gosh, that was absolutely beautiful. I love that. I could feel into that. It feels so good, especially since yesterday was 11/11 and it was such a magical day. Did everybody have a magical day yesterday? I did.
Yes.
It was so spectacular. And Miranda and I ending it last night with Anastara, and it was with 1111 Unified. It was great. I'm here in Colorado, and I've had a lot of shifts and changes going on. And my focus for right now is working on my health and working on being the best version of myself and loving myself where I'm at with any challenges that might be arising right now. And there's a couple, and I love that because it's expansion. It's complete and utter expansion, no matter what we go through in life. And that's what I dig about it. So I'm just appreciating being here and appreciating being with you ladies so that we can show you who's watching that there may be another way to look at something, and perspective shifts are always super important. And that's what I've been working on, perspective shifts and location shifts and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yesterday's broadcast was amazing with Anastara, and there were veterans presentations. 9 different broadcasts happened during the 1111 portal yesterday. And for me, it was really special because it was 11 years since 11/11/11. And I remember such a powerful meditation at 11:11 p.m. that night. I saw like the literal number 11 on the clock, like in my mind, turned into these pairs of angels that were coming in a portal in floods of them, like legions of angels were coming to the planet to help us with what we've been in now for the last 11 years. And I just feel them so strongly. And just yesterday was just such a reflection day of amazingness. Wow. Being with Unify for the last 10 years, the last 5 years really strongly, and the mission that we're all on. And it's just Unify runs us. we don't run it. And it's just an amazing thing to be a part of. And so many of the subjects that we covered yesterday with Anastara, the panel that we did was about living in gratitude. And Debbie G stands for gratitude. So it's like her sweet spot of stories, and but so many touching stories, and just about how gratitude and counting your blessings can pop you into a place of peace and inner peace, and turn the perspective upside down, especially if you're in, a place of not feeling so much peace, or you're feeling stress or chaos or anxiety or sadness or fear, or something else is overwhelming you, using those counting your blessings and gratitude blessings to kind of climb the ladder and tip the scales and get into this bubble of gratitude that opens you up to so much peace and love and joy and blessings. And we've definitely been in that space the last few months. So
that's beautiful, Miranda. Thank you for that. Yeah, what I'm really feeling right now in myself and in a reflection from what the audience is saying is just the practice of it. Sometimes the elusiveness of it and our deep desire. I think for everyone to have that silver thread that connects us to it again in some way, so that we can experience the elation of a full breath without any resistance in our bodies, in our hearts, and letting ourselves be fully liberated in that breath. And sometimes the only thing I have is my breath. And when I know that at the very least I can come back to that just one breath at a time, and like Miranda and Deb and Amber said, like bring us back into a state of balance, back into a state of gratitude, back into a state of welcome, creates that infinite flow of possibility that I believe brings us into and keeps us in the quantum space of limitless possibility. And when we can vibrationally connect our meditation or our vision or our sensation of what is possible to a positive emotional state like peace or whatever, then we have kind of like a new way of like antennaing ourselves to become not just an emanation of that, but an attraction of that, so that we stay in the core of what is our highest and finest, or what is our greatest and latest. I don't know. And it's like you super know when you're not there. So in the folks that are in this conversation with us online, having like the elusiveness of it, right? Like we know when it's not there, so we can make the conscious choice to make a different choice.
I love that. Make a different choice. I want to introduce, oops, sorry, darling. I just wanted to introduce somebody really quickly, because we have somebody here who's really, 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 really special. And I'm just honored. I got to hang out with this lovely lady not long ago with Miranda, and we were looking at the view in Malibu as we just stood together in that glorious moment. It was beautiful. And her name is Tammy Scarlett. She's also the executive director of Unify, the creator of the Quantum Legacy. She works in finance and business, energetics, mentorship, global humanitarian efforts, and she's the founder of Quantum Legacy and serves as I already said that. I'm not going to say it twice. What I'm going to tell you is this. When I try to read these, I always get muddled up. I'm going to say a couple words and then Miranda. Working with Tammy, having Tammy's energy just present, and the way that you hold it together, sort of like you're the one that's guiding the thread through the needle, as we continue to go, and as we're just creating through all of the efforts with Unify, and it's wonderful how you hold it all together, along with that gorgeous 2-year-old child you've got. It's just amazing. I mean, seriously, but I just want to thank you for the service that you bring through this channel, and all that you do behind the scenes. And that's what's so exciting about having you here, is bringing your beautiful face forward, and the work that you do, because besides Unify, because I think it's extraordinary. Miranda?
Yeah, I get to give some love to Tammy too. I'm so glad you're here with us, Tammy. I feel like you should be here with us every time, and you're certainly welcome to if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, and when you came to Unify in 2018 and were able to take over my role as executive director, which I kind of got thrown into and had no idea what I was doing. I was so blessed to have you and your skills and be able to move over to what I love and enjoy so much more, which is partnerships and event production and all of the craziness. But I'm so glad every day to have you there doing all the executive director stuff, but also your faith and how strongly you hold the field for us. And I love our connection, we contact each other and say, like, our field needs prayer. We need to unlock something, or we need to open something, or we need to heal something. And we'll just, gather together and sit in prayer together, even bring in other women a lot of times. And it's just beautiful to be in a space with such faithful women, and how you hold our field and bring such coherence and strength and patience and love and hope. And yeah, thank you for being here too. And you're an inspiration to me. We're both working on writing our first book together, and we have this pinky promise to write a chapter every month and meet about it every month. So that's going really well for me. It's been a huge block for me to actually get to that point and do it. So yeah, so glad you're here with us.
Wow, ladies. I wasn't expecting to be showered with love when I came on this morning, but you both always bless my heart. So thank you very much. And Debbie, I know we just know each other relatively newly, but yeah, you're a light every day. And Miranda, you of course have become like a sister to me in leadership of this organization of Unify, but also in the greater work that we know has to be done in the world that we're here to do. We're here to kind of doula in the things that are becoming. And so we're just, I know we're all honored to be playing our roles in that as well. And I'm honored to be here with you all in this space that you've been holding down for a very long time for women and their becoming. And it really does ripple out into all of humanity. You know, it's like even if it wasn't broadcast, even if nobody heard, it still would be rippling out energetically. The fact that we also get to broadcast and it can be received in all these other ways just exponentially multiplies that reach, and that excites my heart because I have a vision that I know that many of you have also, that in some years to come here, we're going to see a vast amount of people on the planet who are raised in their consciousness and their awareness and are working in their light and are contributing to this beautiful new world that we will have and hold together. So thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Whoop, whoop. I'm loving it. Okay, so, all right, audience, we're going to do a little shift, and Rachel's going to take us into this shift. We're going to step in more to the quantum field. Come with us. Take a journey. Take a journey to remember your greatness today. We're all going to be giving tools, and Tammy's going to be showing up with some tools for us to implement. And let's just make this time for the next 45 minutes your time, male or female. Hello, Leland. Thank you for being here, Willful Warrior. And take it away, Reach.
Wow. Okay. Well, you may have not noticed, but you're already in a quantum field of limitless possibility. There's really nothing for me to do other than acknowledge that you've been in it this entire time you've been alive. Okay. Now that we've covered the basics, what do you want to do with this one grand, beautiful, amazing, spectacular life that you can vibrationally connect to and zoom into in whichever way you so choose your adventure?
That was awesome.
It's all in here. Right?
I
It's like
love this.
when you first realize like the presence of spirit. It's like, duh, it's been here the whole time, just waiting for you to like realize it. And then once you realize it, you're like, oh my God, I could have done this the whole time. Like,
Let's just play in the gap. And you know, a little bit earlier, Amber, you had something that you wanted to share. And I also want to hear from you in this space a little bit more. You wanted to touch on what Rachel was talking about.
Let me see if I can pull the thread back up here. Oh, yes, it was around the last thing that Rachel had said. I just wanted to add pull on that thread a little bit, add a little addendum. And what you were speaking to was, when we're out, right? When we're not feeling peace, when we're feeling all of the other experiences that are available to us, that are challenging, that pull us down, to be so gentle and compassionate with ourselves and each other. And then know that, as you mentioned, it's breath by breath that we choose to begin to steer ourselves back and to be patient with the process if it feels slow sometimes. As I began in the beginning, sharing how wonderful this moment feels, how much peace I feel in my system, in my family, how much harmony. And not too long ago, very recently, actually a week and a half ago, there were some very challenging things that came into my field that I had to interact with. And I had a choice. I could let it collapse me and contract me, or I could choose to take it in, work with it, and also continue to hand it over to spirit. Those things that may seem insurmountable in our life sometimes, that we don't know what the solution is to the challenge that we're facing, to really invite a communication and a practice where we can really continually place it in the hands of spirit to reveal the solution that's inherent within every challenge. And that occurred very effectively in a matter of 3 days with a pretty big challenge. And then the peace and the release on the other side, we realized we have so much choice in the way that we're interacting with everything that's showing up in our experience. And if we believe that fundamentally it's all for us, then we're going to interact with it in a way that we're going to reveal the gift that is hidden just behind the veil of what's presenting itself as a challenge.
you're muted, Deb.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Going through challenges and knowing that there's a solution there, and allowing it to go, let it flow, let it glow, lose that control. I found myself, I find myself wanting to control things that I shouldn't be trying to control, because the fact of the matter is that when I do let go and let it flow, there is that process. But going through it, I want to just recognize that I think that that this has kind of been going on out there, that we've all been shedding some things that are no longer serving us. So I've been shedding the idea that I need to be right all the time. Part of the time most of the time I am, but that's not really the point. It's causing conflicts. It's the idea that it's okay to be right and let others be right too, in that conflict, in that space, because I think that that's where source is, the allowing of others to be free too, which isn't always the easiest thing when I'm trying to control things. A lot of resistance.
I had some experiences since we last have been together where it literally felt like my brain exploded. Like, what do you mean? This makes absolutely no sense. Okay. Right? And so when we meet situations, sure, it'd be great to have a monk mind 24/7, 365. But like, the reality is sometimes life throws crazy, ridiculous curveballs in our world that make it abundantly clear that a new path, a new energy, a new connection, a new situation is just beyond your fully letting go of whatever is going on. When it makes absolutely no sense, it's time to make a new decision, a new direction, a new choice. Because there's no use like reasoning with like madness. It's like, okay, poof, right? Like next level, right? Like, what game are we playing now? Now that that's complete, and there's no like I think the biggest trick there is like, and Tammy, you might speak more to this too, training the mind to let go and stay focused on what is like most aligned, most significant, most like vibrationally connected to what our highest and most effective way to be in this realm is.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, Rachel, because I think that it's one of the things that is most needed and definitely least taught or talked about. When in Quantum Legacy, I really work a lot with just helping people to access their innate sacred skills that, the ones that everybody has access to, that we all came to the planet with. And even though in our like healing abilities or light worker abilities or whatever you want to call it, we might have some very individualized versions of these kinds of gifts or skills, but really everybody has them. So I think that we have the tendency to, collectively, all of humanity, we have the tendency to, in these constructs that we've been born into and environments we've been raised within and all of this, to, even when we've accessed that more maybe spiritual side of ourselves or conscious side of ourselves or a higher self, we still have these like modes. So we shift gears. So we'll be like, doot, doot, doot. Okay, now I'm accessing higher self and I'm acting like this. Okay, well, now I'm distracted and I'm back into this and I'm in rote 3D world. So I'm just working over here, but I'm going to tap in back over here. So I kind of get refreshed so that maybe I'm not being so awful over here, whatever, right? It's just, it kind of tends to function dichotomously. And I don't really believe that we are meant to function separately and dichotomously. However, I think that in order to really be optimized in our functionality and to be available to be continuing to develop, and sure, we can call it ascend into these new versions of ourselves that we've never had access to before as they're becoming available on the planet. In order to do that, I think we need to be able to have both lenses operating at the same time. Here's how it looks when I function in my 3D world day to day with all my feelings, up and down, good days, bad days, whatever. And here's what it looks like to access this realm, what it looks like up here with this higher truth that I know is true. I don't have to put that on the shelf in order to go operate in the mundane. I do not have to. I have full-time 100% access to it at all times. Does that mean that if I find myself being super frustrated or biting my husband's head off about something, or being impatient with my kid or whatever, that I'm no longer accessing this realm? It doesn't mean that. It means that I'm down here and I'm continuously connected, and I might want to be tapping into intentionally something here to help me level back out or bring me back up or whatever. But both of these scripts are running, if you think about it as an operating system, both of these scripts are running full time, all the time. We can help ourselves to progress and to connect with other people by being able to recognize that there's two, and that doesn't make us crazy. There's two, and that doesn't make us weird. That's just true for everyone. In fact, there's probably more than two, but I'm just going to keep it simple by saying there's two. So then you can know at any given time it's okay to feel a couple different ways, to see things a couple different ways, to be approaching things maybe have sometimes even a tug of war feeling inside of yourself about what am I gonna do with this one, because I have these kind of two different scripts running, and that's okay. But learning how to recognize where the internal voices are coming from, where the external voices might be coming from, and how to receive, balance out all the information, sit with it, be peaceful amongst all of that, and then make a conscious decision within yourself, own the decision, and take the next step forward. That whole kind of program is so freeing to be able to operate in. It's like it's being in your full faculties. It's being in full ownership of yourself, really. So yeah, that's what I would say to that, Rachel, is I think we all have access, and man, it's freeing when you get to not have to be crazy about it.
I really want to step in on this for just a second. So I love what you're talking about, Tammy, and Rachel, because I have been facing some health challenges that this is the gold in this. This is the silver lining. It's forcing me to stay more present and not just be reactive because I'm not feeling so hot. Period. And with what's going on with me, that's pretty normal. But it's really forcing me to go to the edge. And to do exactly what you're talking about, to come back to center. Is this worth losing my peace over? And I'm finding I had to really face the fact, though, that I was being reactive. It was me causing that. It wasn't me. It was just not being present, being over in this field of, I don't feel good. I don't want to deal with it. And being crabby, bitchy, whiny, complainy, And I was listening to a cup of grata this morning I did from 2 years ago. And I said, why are we doing so much complaining when we could be doing gratituding? And I listened to myself, tell myself what's up. And I'm like, oh man, my past self telling my current self, it requires being present, and you're going through what you're doing so that you can be present to make those decisions, to be accountable to, and even though there may be something going on physically, we do have the control within our mind to make it the best we can be. It doesn't have to just be reactive because you're not feeling well and you're pissy like I was being. And I can still be, and I may do that later today. And then I'm going to love myself and say, did I do that? I was talking about that last night, Urkel, back in the day. Did I do that? I did that.
But it's also so important to feel everything and be gentle with yourself too. All of us are moms, some of us grandmas too now. And yeah, it's like I had a meditation with Maureen Edwardson has been on this show before, and she helps with Unify and kind of just holding our field. And she has a thing called inner resonance technologies that she teaches, but I'm always amazed at how, like, I spend 20 minutes with her and she can like clear out my system, all this stuff that I forget to just do for myself. And she starts with like a whole bunch of breaths of letting go. And also to me, like I do chakra opening meditation, and your first one that you're opening is all the way down, to the center of the universe and everything. And for me, it's this energy of like really grounding, but it's also letting go. And like when I go into that space, I go through these layers of like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff that's like weighing on me that I'm not always dealing with. So a lot of times when I go into the letting go, going down phase, I start crying because I'm shoving so much other stuff to the side. That's like, oh, my cat disappeared last week. My uncle's in the hospital. Like people I know are sick. There's all these things that are actually, happening in life that we're not always dealing with. So that first realm of letting go and letting the tears flow and letting, getting into it and being real with like what needs to be dealt with. But then once I go all the way into that, let the tears flow, then she brings me back up into this space of like, and there are so many blessings, and here's where we're going, and here's this beautiful timeline that we're stepping into, and here's how much is being given to us and how much, we're being led, and your kids are happy and healthy and your life is good. And, and then it just, bursts into this bigger bubble. But it takes all of it. If you don't get into the like tears that need a flow, then I'm kind of like running around in this chaotic, frustrated bubble sometimes, which then does have the more snippy mom or partner come out, or just like it's this frustration bubble that I sometimes can't even explain. So I thank Maureen for the practice of helping me clear the field and having these practices of doing what we need to do to kind of get that clarity that brings us back into a place where, and then you can choose, am I going to make the positives outweigh the negatives a little bit more today? And then you feel the joy and the peace kind of overflowing, and then you can give it to other people no matter what's going on. But it is hard. It's not, we're not here to say we're, Pollyanna every day that has everything handed to us somehow, and that we're just like some kind of, special, amazing life that nobody else has. Heck no.
I've never been Pollyanna. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, like ever, period. I love the Pollyanna thing though. Something to strive for. What the heck? Amber, what do you feel about what's real for you right now?
Well, I appreciate the vulnerable shares too here, the opportunity to really feel each other, in all the lifeness that's happening. And Miranda, you spoke to something I feel so important to highlight, that there's, especially when you're a mom on top of it, right? There's a whole other dimension of lifeness that just seems to turn the volume up on everything else, at least in my experience and many mothers I know. But it's so easy to accumulate, all this stress and this tension, and it can be these little micro stressors, but they accumulate, they gather in the system, and it creates so much noise and static, and impedes our ability to really receive that clear signal that infuses us with inspiration, with the clear guidance. So the importance of making space consistently to metabolize that buildup that happens in our system. And it doesn't take much. Like if you attend to it regularly, you can stay more on top of it. Sometimes we need a bigger, portal that we can create for ourselves, a container we can go in and metabolize a lot of backlog, because a lot of people have that as well. But also to speak to the effect of distractions. Like we are bombarded with so many distractions in life, and important to assess where we're placing our energy. Where are we investing our energy in spaces that aren't nourishing, that aren't enlivening to us? Maybe they're fear-inducing or anxiety-inducing, and be very deliberate about eliminating some of those incoming streams of information that don't really serve us to stay rooted in the frequency that we're choosing to embody in our lives.
Yeah, that's so good. I had an experience where I had an opportunity to go work up in the Yukon, doing some trauma healing facilitation with a number of different nationalities, but specifically with the Tlingit tribe there. And there it was, where we were was on Atlin Lake, 2.5 hours away from anywhere that had cell phone service or internet or anything like that. Atlin Lake is in between 4 mountains and a glacier. this total wilderness. We didn't have electricity or anything. Had to go to the river and get a bucket of water and boil it if we wanted to make coffee, or dump it over our heads if we wanted something like a shower. It was pretty amazing. But I did some sessions out there, the kind of like energy work sessions, and noticed that sessions that would take me about 4 hours to complete here in Chicago or Seattle or wherever I was, there took about 40 minutes. And seriously, and and it was consistent. And I was like, this is almost impossible, but it's like there was no interference in the field for things to just be able to, whatever the natural thing that wanted to happen next, it was just already unlocked. It was just already, ready to move. So we didn't have to spend time, shaping and finding the ways and keys and paths to unlock for the shifts. It was just so instant, and it felt so clear and free. Even at one point, I went out on the front porch of that little kind of shack place we were staying in, and I started playing my drum and singing, and the birds and animals started coming out from the woods and making noise and flying around and flitting, and it felt like this big orchestra of nature. And I was like, what is going on? And I finally, after a while, started kind of like dying down slowly, because I didn't just want to stop because it would be too abrupt. And then as I did, like, they all quieted down and kind of went back. And then at the end, it was just all like normal nature sounds. And again, I was like, well, that doesn't happen to me at home. I don't just walk out back and start playing my drum and nature happens. But I think about, how much interference in just frequencies and stuff do we have just by all the things around us being so busy, so full, so many things going on. And our nervous systems are constantly taking that on and processing that, and all of our systems really are constantly fielding that and dealing with that. And I know some of us have things around our homes and things, things that we'll ingest that help to balance those things out. But really, what if we take a look at who we are in these miracle bodies, these magical beings, everything that we're capable of, again, 24/7, this is constant access stuff. How differently might we approach our day-to-day from just like, do I have enough in my body, enough energy today to do the things I have to do, which we know is like laundry, drop the kids off at school, get the things done, right? And then at the end of the day, we're tired, we go to bed, we do a quick meditation practice, maybe exercise, and go back at it again. But we're miraculous, magical beings. So what if we looked at it like, well, sure, there's some stuff to do today in the practical. That's going to kind of take care of itself. What can I do when I'm tapping into all the possibility? In fact, what might I want to create? Would there be maybe something that I want to do new today that maybe the face of the planet has never even seen before? What do I have access to from my guides and angels and the universe, just how it might already want to kind of collaborate with me on this or co-create with me on this? And it doesn't take but an instant to be able to touch that thread, and it's already there waiting. And then it can be anything, but starting to live in that space. Well, now we've kind of slowly worked moment by moment on creating something that's so much more. It's so much more fulfilling and so much more enriching. And it's the path towards all possibility, unlocking all possibility for all humanity. So, yeah.
Good golly, that was awesome. I love that. And I can you all just see her out there playing her drums in nature and just all the animals around you, like Snow White. It's just like a little princess, and the princess is calling it in. I think is beautiful.
It was a little more rugged than Snow White.
Yeah, I'm adding some fluff.
Yeah. But no, it was effortless. It was like they wanted to connect. They were already kind of poised for that connection. Like there was no separation. Even this giant moose came up and just kind of walked up to the steps, and me and my friend who were there were just like, there's a moose. Like what's going on? There's no like, oh, this might be dangerous, or oh, that's us versus them. There's none of that. It was really life altering for me in a very different, like kind of like Burning Man. We go to Burning Man the first time and you're like, whoa, all those societal constructs that I just thought were packaged part of life are like separate. They're like, chosen. In same kind of thing. I went out into the wilderness and was like, whoa, this is like what it feels like when there's not all this extra packaging and assignment and all of that.
Well, what's interesting is that there's a theme happening right now. Amber was just talking about distractions, and you're talking about distractions. That seems to be the theme here, about being distracted. Rachel, you were talking about distractions. And I am talking about distractions. Take it away, girl.
There's also attractions. Oh, boom, mic drop. But seriously, like, we have attractions of depletion or trauma, and then we have attractions of inspiration and wonder and capacity, like reaching the edges of our capacity. And both of them are equally as powerful. It all just depends on where we're putting that attention and letting the flow overtake us in like the most like dramatic and romantic way that one could experience, between being like the access point between heaven and earth. Like, that is like a most glorious place. And when everyone was talking about the distractions, I was thinking about like the asleep and awake space. And sometimes when we're sleeping, we have great dreams, and sometimes we also have not great dreams. And I was reminded of a Yogananda practice of when you find yourself in a challenging situation, to take yourself deep into that field of the quantum layers and realize that that experience, like, as you would wake up from a bad dream with as much gratitude of that dream being over. You guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe you had one of those when you were a kid. You're just like ugly crying in the middle of the night because you're like, thank God that doesn't exist in reality. Well, that can happen for our distraction or distractive places as well. When we find ourselves in a compromising situation of any sort, whether it's physical, emotional, whatever, to acknowledge that that was just a dream we were having. That was a part of ourselves that was still asleep. And now that we're awake, we don't have to live in that bad dream state anymore. And to feel the level of gratitude that we have wellspring up in us with the thank goodness that it's over feeling. And our willingness to evolve means that we must also be willing to let parts of ourselves, like those parts that I just mentioned, die. Let them be recycled. Give them back to Gaia. Let them go where they need to go. But realize that we can take those layers of ourselves off. And Amber mentioned it once in a fun way of like a sexy striptease with ourselves. Like, it doesn't have to be like hard. It can just be like, oh, I think I'm done with this one. And there it goes. Bye-bye. Right? Like, I got a new pair of shoes coming or whatever, because it's important to know that we can walk with that fierceness of being what I would call like a walking apocalypse. Because when you hold that type of vibration, then reality just begins to bend to your will. And when reality is bending to your will and that of like a co-creative group or whatever, then it becomes like this unstoppable force of nature that's working seamlessly with the universe.
I love that so much, Rachel. And I think that with, what it made me think of what Debbie was just saying about distractions, I think there's actually another layer to it, because the word distraction, sometimes, does this happen to you guys? Sometimes you'll hear a word and there's just a tinge in it that you're like, what's the tinge? What's going on with that? So there's the tinge in it for me. I realized is that it feels like the things that we're talking about in our life that might be those distractions are maybe getting a little bit too much power if we just say that and leave it like that, right? Oh, well, there's all these distractions in life and then I have to deal with them and get centered and whatever. But sometimes I think if we do what you're talking about, Rachel, we let go of what needs to be let go of, we give ourselves what we need, really. Because sometimes I know there's this practice, right, where you can go, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, and feel like there's not enough time for anything. But then if you give yourself a little dose of self-care, suddenly you're not busy anymore. There's plenty of time for everything. So like that, I think some of these things that we can think of in our minds as distractions are actually not distractions. We are just being distracted because we've bypassed the thing that we need to give ourselves. Shed that layer, like Rachel said, strip tease it off and give ourselves what we need, and then go back, and maybe all those things that were looking like distractions are actually beautifully integrated parts of our lives that are working in full flow, because it doesn't have to be necessarily distracting for something to have come up in my life that I wasn't exactly welcoming, or for something to come up in my life that I didn't feel like I had time for today. Some of those things are like, it's kind of like, the way that I approach Mercury in retrograde is I just get ready for surfing. I'm like, okay, it's time for surfing, right? Here we go. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Doesn't really matter. It's just about having fun for those next 3 weeks or however long it takes, right? So like, it's kind of like that. If we get a pivot or something comes up, maybe rather than just thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these distractions, that is automatically making our minds think that there are things outside of us that are in opposition to us, to our flow. Maybe we can reframe it and say, oh, there's things that are feeling distracting, and therefore I'm going to shed what I need to let go of. Beautiful striptease, give myself some loving self-care, and then reset and regauge and see like, oh, now is everything just like beautifully placed?
You guys have me going with the beautiful striptease. I'm about that right now. Totally. Anybody else out there just want to beautifully striptease that which doesn't need to be, and then put something new on? I
Yes,
love that.
I'm going to go do that right after this.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
That was awesome.
Done with that. Thank you, Rachel. I've missed you, girl. I'm gonna probably come to Loveland and Sunrise Ranch during Thanksgiving week. So I don't know if you're around, but I want to come see you. And yes, I love your story, Tammy, too. I heard you tell that before, but it like pops up in my images that I get of just such beautiful, experience with nature and harmony and everything that can happen. And I can't wait. Debbie right now has been like so immersed in buying a property, buying a house, having to fix that house, having to move in, pack boxes and all this stuff. But she hasn't even gotten to experience the exquisite beauty and nature of Colorado yet. So I can't wait there's so many places here to have that experience happen. I know when I lived at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, one of the oldest intentional communities on the planet, where Rachel lives, it has all these rock outcroppings and just mountain behind you that you can go anytime, just walk out your door and just be on the mountainside. And where I live now is the same way. And where Debbie just moved to has the same thing. Mount Blanca is one of the most sacred mountains to many Native American tribes, and they come and do ceremony there. And she lives at the base of it. So it's, and the great sand dunes of Colorado too. So I can't wait to show you, Debbie, once the dust settles and we got you feeling good and everything. We'll be out there in nature. And I find the same thing. I can either sit in the chaos of, in between work meetings or in the city, and it takes forever to get centered sometimes. And it just like the chaos is just like weighing on you. But out here in nature where you can experience complete silence, and then the trees are like hugging you, and the animals are responding to the peace and harmony, just saying we are that all the time. And we are fed and we have everything that we need and we're happy and we play with each other. And it's just, just such a beautiful experience and reminder with all these stories. So thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. I can't wait. We're going to have a blast. Hey, Amber.
Yeah.
I see something. I see it's percolating. It's been percolating.
Yeah. There is a thread percolating, and it's a continuation of the discussion that we've just been having. And first of all, it's cosmic striptease is what I entitled it, because it's this process of, if we can bring playfulness to the process, I find personally that it really helps. We can tend to take ourselves so seriously, which can also then lock those identity structures in more, and it makes it harder to work with them and to actually just let them go. So if we can bring that energy of playfulness, of not needing to take ourselves so seriously in this human experience of becoming, of unfolding into all that we are, it's just easier. I found that to be so. So I love the idea of the cosmic striptease being those identities that we formed through all of the experiences of this life. I know Tammy mentioned some earlier, whether it's the familial patterns of what you come into, or the educational system. It's like the different traumas that we experience. All of these experiences create these veneers around our inherent wholeness. And so as far as I've experienced it, true healing is really the resolution, that reconciliation back to our innate state of wholeness. And so really that's the process of the removal, the release of what we are not, what we've believed that we are because we've taken it on, but we're not actually in our essence. So that process can be so much more enjoyable and graceful when we bring that energy of playfulness to it.
Ladies, beautiful. I absolutely am so honored to be here with you, and grateful for this rise in vibration. It's beautiful to be part of and to witness. We are coming up to the last 10 minutes, and I would love for each of you to share a little bit more about how people can work with you individually, or any other something that's on your heart, whatever it might be. Take a couple minutes each before that we end this show. And Miranda, start. I'm just picking.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful space to be back with you women and with our whole audience, and in this potent time of year. Yeah, I mean, Debbie and I do things during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Debbie does a beautiful show called Nobody Alone for the holidays. And yeah, I just want to give lots of love to all of you, to our audience, and let people know that, there are lots of ways to not have to be alone for the holidays. And we hope that, those things are available in your area. Churches cooking food. In our community here, we serve about 500 meals that we grow in our community gardens and everything, and try to reach out to everyone. And if that isn't going on in your community, help volunteer, help make it available, help, Debbie and I open our houses to anyone who needs it, any elder in the community, anybody who doesn't have family, any of that. So I encourage anyone to do that. It's always been a beautiful experience for years, and it's just touching me, going from the peace season and just seeing so many events that happened during Peace Day this year. There was an awakening that we've seen during COVID. Everything was very quiet on Peace Day. We did a few little broadcasts, but it was, you couldn't go do boots on the ground events like what people have been doing for so many years. So this year, to see so many people come back, so many events pop up, so many marches and walks, and to check in with the organizations. We have 41 organizations that are really close to us that put groups that are doing work for peace, for regenerative efforts, for women's groups, water groups, all this. Almost 17,000 groups submitted to us this year, and broke our map again, which we're kind of famous for breaking our map every year when we get too many submissions. But it was so good and beautiful to see so many people are out there flourishing, coming back to, I don't want to say normalcy, because I don't think anybody wants a kind of normalcy from before COVID. We've all awakened into a new perspective that is happening bigger and bigger this year. But thank you to everybody that's with us and to all those people that are boots on the ground, loving and being grateful and being the peace and being together. So love everyone out there. I love all of you sisters. Thank you for being here today.
Amber.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for any kind of plug, but I'll just speak into a couple of things that are opportunities to connect and work together. Well, first of all, organization that I co-founded is the Temple of Wholeness, and we are a 501c3 religious organization, but really it's for a space for people who are spiritual yet not religious, but want to come together to be in shared practice together. We have a monthly broadcast that we've actually partnered with Unify, so it's streaming through Unify the last Sunday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we can put a link in there. We have our broadcast is called CODE, and that stands for Church of Direct Experience. So this is a beautiful gathering where we come together virtually and we connect directly to our connection to source together in a shared field, which is so potent. As they say, where two or more are gathered, there is increased potency for certain in the access that we have together. So there's that. And I also offer deep immersive initiations, experiences that support you in this process of peeling back the layers that have been accumulated and helping to really seat you back into your direct connection to your wholeness and to redesign your life so that it becomes a congruent expression of that. So you can certainly reach out. And again, we'll put some links in. There we go. Thank you.
I love it. And the links are in the chat. So you can find them super easy peasy, lemon squeezy style. Tammy.
So I had to find the unmute button. Yeah, so I do most of my work with Unify, of course, but I do have Quantum Legacy. So I do some one-on-one mentorship, some courses. Sometimes I'll do retreats and things like that. And if you want to connect with me or learn more, you can find me on Instagram at live lead love, but it's got dots in there, live.lead.love. And then you can connect with me in just about any way from there. And, Miranda and I and Debbie are always around at Unify as well. So hit us up, send us a comment, get connected, get involved. And like Miranda was saying, this holiday season especially, I think it's really important for all of us to really just, tap in, stay connected, stay focused, give our attention to the things that are going to be elevating to ourselves and those around us. It really does help. It really does make a difference. We have seen the past couple of years, suicide rates increase around the world just during COVID and with all the isolation and loss. And the holidays are historically those numbers go up during that time as well. It's more challenging and more difficult for people to work through struggles that they might have with anxiety, depression, separation, loss, any of those things. And so to be able to be a light and maybe even ask spirit, ask universe, ask your guides, ask your angels for a lens, for eyes to see those around you in your sphere of influence, in your world, in your community. Sometimes just a word, a smile, a sentence, whatever might make all the difference in the world. So yeah, I will leave you with that.
I love it. Rachel, do you have anything that you'd like to offer?
Sure. Just real quick, if you want to connect with me personally, you can find me at rachelmorrison.org. And if you want to get juiced up on some of the things that I'm into, you can look at sunriseranch.org. There's some really great programs and opportunities to have some immersive retreats.
I love that. Next week, I want to share and play really quickly. We are almost out of time, but I want to play this for everybody. A quick trailer from the guests that are going to be here next week for a beautiful documentary called Love Heals. And the reason I'm so excited, I interviewed Dana, and I think that this is going to really give people some inside information to what's possible with healing your own body. So let's take a listen here.
I'm Chrisanna, and I'm a filmmaker. My partner Dana and I have been together 4 years, and throughout our relationship, Dana has suffered with chronic pain. After going from doctor to doctor, trying desperately to find answers, in 2020, she had 2 spine surgeries. When the spine surgeries failed to bring her relief, I began documenting her journey. I believed for a miracle and wanted to have a camera in hand when it happened. Then I was asked to create a documentary on healing to show how an ancient principle that's been known for 10,000 years was the secret to health. I wondered, how has this ancient principle helped so many heal? And can it help Dana too? And so began our journey.
스스로 자기의 건강은 자기가 지켜야 되고, 근데 그러한 그 각성이 됐다 해도 방법을 모르면 안 된다.
I know body can do miraculous things, but I just didn't know how to tap into it. I don't know what's missing in my life.
Why am I trying so hard? Why am I suffering so much?
I kept telling myself that I could do this on my own, but I can't. I need help.
I have nothing else. So I had to get to a place where I was ready to heal.
So pain is a signal of protection. And the question is, from what?
Illness and pain are symptoms that you're not living in harmony, and that you should be dealing with the symptom not as the problem, but as a message that says, do something else.
Go inside and then find that thing that you're looking for all your life.
All of a sudden I could walk. The pain left my body and I could walk just fine.
I've been in chronic pain for like 10 years, and this is the first time that I can remember not even thinking about my knee.
I know we have the answers here, and I know that we can heal ourselves. Now I believe it a little bit more.
This journey woke me up. In the deepest pain and the darkest days, it allowed me to access something within myself that I wouldn't have otherwise.
So that'll be our guest, the director, and the star of this film will be here next week on Women Rising. I am very, very excited about this, and it's going to be an extraordinary hour. And you can show up and find out how to watch a free screening, which they're going to be doing for the Unify audience. So you want to make sure that you set your calendars to tune in and watch for the event to be posted on Unify later on today. That is all we have today for you. Thank you for being with us for this hour. We love you. We are grateful for you. And remember, we are rising, all of us. Thank you.